What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So, guys, once again, went out to the Atlanta Falcons training camp up in Flowery Branch for day 2 of pads. Luckily, it was overcast today, so it was not as hot as it was on the previous days. I'm pretty sure the players kind of appreciated that. But once again, the Atlanta Falcons got some good work in, and I'm going to talk to you guys about that day, to what I've seen on the field. And like I said, guys, it's first week pretty much. The Atlanta Falcons just getting started, so a lot of stuff that we want to see improve, and a lot of guys that's making names for themselves in camp, and we'll definitely talk about that today. So with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get some news out the way first before we start talking about it. So Atlanta Falcons did have a roster move that Raheem Morris reported today. They cut Makai. um I just had the name, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Just had the name. They cut wide receiver um wide receiver Makai, and they brought in Black, Henry Black. Wow, I can't believe I forgot all the information that quick. Hold on just a minute. I'm gonna get you the names. Sorry about that. So like I said, they cut Makai Polk, and they signed Henry Black from the UFL safety. So what's interesting? So, and I also working out CJ Henderson, and they brought in Whitehead yesterday as safety. So what's interesting is it seems like the Atlanta Falcons is kind of unsettled with their defensive backfield because they keep bringing in guys, in those positions. We of course, they picked up Jordan Fuller in free agency. They brought in Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts and inside the draft. So we know those guys are there, but for some reason, it seems like they're unsettled. And you gotta like that, right? If you're not comfortable, um, we always hear Terry Fontenot talking about, so they're trying to fix the roster, make sure the roster is good. So when they keep bringing guys in, so they bring in Whitehead, a guy who's familiar with Jeff Ulbrich, right? He played for him up when he was with the Jets, and then we got a guy that played with the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, C.J. Henderson, another guy, cornerback that was a high draft pick as well. Bring him in for to see what he's all about, and we'll see if they make any roster moves on those guys. But bringing in another safety, Henry Black from the UFL, you know, Raheem Porter, they probably was kind of had too many receivers there. We know they brought in DJ Chark earlier this week, so they got rid of Makai Polk. So trying to even up those numbers, for camp bodies and things like that. But bringing in veteran guys in Henderson and Whitehead, it's just interesting to see. So I'm not sure, if they don't like what they see, or they just trying to put get the best 53 on the field, and that's what you should be trying to do, especially for your personnel department. They got a great pro scouting department with the Atlanta Falcons, so those guys do their due diligence. I mean, Falcons one of the most busiest teams at bringing in guys and working out guys all throughout the year, not just during training camp, but they bring in guys all the time. They have guys scheduled, and because it's all about turnover, and like I said, and trying to make the team better. So you like when you see things like this, but those are the roster moves. Not too many things to report other than that. An injury update, we finally got some news on Jalen Walker. Now, he was in uniform today. He did go through indies and individual and things like that, but he was not allowed to participate and in teams packages and stuff like that. Raheem Morris said he's chopping at the bit to get out there, but he got a slight hamstring um, issue, and he don't want to. He want to be really precautious with him before he put him out on the field. But he did go through all of the individual drills and things like that. He was in full uniform, so it was good to see him back on the field. So he's close. Yesterday, it was reported that he was working on the side with Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson's still on the PUP list. So the fact that Jalen Walker was back, uniform and back on the field, it really seemed like it's more precautionary than anything. And it's more of the head coach and listen to the training staff don't want to rush it, don't want to put him back out there. Now the question was asked about him, not being able to, losing reps and things like that, and that is going to be the case, right? He's a rookie. He need to get that speed and get out there and be able to do some things. But at this point in time, they want to be smart about the situation. Now it's 5 weeks away from the start of the season, so he has time to get better. But at the same time, we want to see that guy out there and start to get some rhythm and start to to do what he need to do. No more word on Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney still reported last week, 3 weeks away. He said still about 2 weeks, and then they'll go from there. Again, I don't think they're trying to rush that issue as well. Don't seem like it's something that's really, really serious, but once being precautious, I think Darnell Mooney, um, as a vet, we still want to see him get more chemistry with, Michael Penix, but at the same time, you want him to be ready for week one as well. So, guys, that's the roster move. Bringing in Henry Black, letting go Makai Polk. They also worked out Jordan Whitehead yesterday, and they also bringing in C.J. Henderson. So we'll see if any moves happen for those two guys that they brought in the defensive backfield. It's funny. I've seen somebody mention that you got a defensive back, former defensive back coach bringing in all the defensive back, players. But we know it's a passing league, right? A lot of teams love that 11 personnel. You want to be able to cover the passer. If you can get in unison with that pass rush in the back end, that's what you want to see. So we'll see if any more updates, any more news happen with the roster moves and the injury updates. But right now, I think they're all good on that front, and we'll just have to see what happens, with the guys that they're bringing in and working out. So, guys, let me know what you think about those roster moves. I can't believe right before I got on here, guys, I got the names and everything, and then I had a blank. I couldn't think of the guy's name. So, thank you guys for being patient with me for that. Going in to look up those guys' names. All right. The next topic is pretty much the offense and defense. About what I seen today, um, from both sides. First of all, I like the back and forth that we seen. The defense got some, the offense got some. Kirk Cousins is really giving the first team defense really good looks. He's checking off, at the line of scrimmage, helping those guys. We seen Jeff Albrecht do like he was doing some more install a little bit, calling plays, different blitz packages and things like pressure packages and things like that. So they're still trying to really learn what they need to do on defense. And sometimes when you're looking at, the ones going against the twos, which is Kirk Cousins leading, you see that you're still seeing some mistakes there. Seeing for my liking, I see a lot of runs that I don't think they should be giving up, right? And that's one of my number one concerns. You guys remember, one of my concerns about this team is the run defense. So, I seen a little gashes there. Not getting too overly concerned about it because I still think they're, you know, learning some things, trying to figure some things out. So don't want to get too upset about it, but at the same time, um, they you're going to see them clicking on all cylinders, getting better and better every day. So that's one thing I like. If you listen to the guys, the defensive players though that do their press conference, they love the defense they're in. They love the fact that they letting these guys just go out and play. I think when you got younger guys like the Atlanta Falcons have, right, and things that they was really really good at in college, you want to try to emphasize that early on and let those guys just go out and play. The little techniques and nuances and being able to, get the game and have that experience going to come with time. But at this point in time, I think bringing in Nate Ali and bringing in this type of defense, I think it's a breath of fresh air for some of these guys. You listen to Brandon Dorless today talking about he's just got to get off the ball. Don't worry about mistakes. If you're gonna make a mistake, make it in the backfield, right? That's the kind of stuff you want to hear because all those guys are being intentional about what they're doing. They know their assignment. They know what they need to do. They know they need to get off the ball, right? That's the beauty of it. So I mean, we hear that from Brandon Dorless. We hear the same thing from Jesse Bates, how excited he is about Jeff Albrecht coming in. You hear the same thing for James Pierce Jr., right? Those are three guys we heard from today on the defensive side of the ball. And all those guys echoing the same thing about just attack, be pressure, get out the ball, right? And that's what you gotta like. You gotta like it, right? We gotta see it come into, come to light, right? On week one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, up against Baker Mayfield and Irvin and all those talented receivers they got. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a talented team. Let's be honest. So it's not going to be an easy task. So for Atlanta Falcons, to start off on the right foot, they got to be hitting on all cylinders. That's why it's important for these guys to just keep stacking days, keep stacking reps, learning this defense, and so they can get after the ball on September 7th. So that's what's going to be the most important thing about it. But the defensive side of the ball, today they had Jordan Fuller back in there, with on the side of Jesse Bates. So I guess they switching those guys out back and forth. We saw James Pierce Jr. Get some reps on the first team today, going on the other side of Leonard Floyd. So and still wreaking havoc, guys. It's starting to be like a reoccurring thing every day for him, right? I mean, if you like what you see so far, out of five practices, you can say he got 5 or 6 sacks, man, maybe even more, right? I wasn't there on some days, but I mean, I saw him get in the backfield 3 times yesterday. I mean, the other day on Tuesday, and I saw him get in the backfield like twice today. So, the guy is just relentless, man. And he's going up against, you know, good linemen, right? Today he was going against the second, the second team offensive line, but at the same time, he's still just making plays. I mean, he got back there so fast today before Kirk Cousins can even hitch the ball back. He touched him on the shoulder, right? Sack, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Rukaroro, the next play, got back there and touched Kirk Cousins up. So both of those young guys are showing signs that they're understand their assignment and getting off the ball, right? That's what it is. I think their mantra is, um, get the fuck off the ball, right? And then the offensive guys is speed off the ball. So, you know, iron against iron, just bumping heads, right? That's what you want to see. Dwayne Leffert teaching his guys to speed off the ball fast, getting off the ball fast, and then they talking about get off the ball. So, you know, two forces coming at each other, making each other better. So you love to see that from the offense and defensive line. But from a defensive standpoint, everything you've seen so far, it's just you can see that they're still learning the system, right? And learning how to not to think so much and just play. And that's what you like. One thing that we do see, the safeties and the linebackers are definitely coming downhill, right? Those are guys going to be making those plays because no defensive linemen, you know, shoot those gaps and decide to just mess up the plays in the backfield. Those linebackers and those safeties gonna have to clean stuff up. So that's what you're gonna see, right? And I just can't wait to see it, unprevail, on week one, right? We probably won't see a whole lot of stuff on preseason games and stuff like that, but week one when they unleash these guys. I can't wait to see it, and I know you guys can't either. John Moreno says, "What's up, Ricondo? What are the Falcons going to do with Kirk Cousins? Cut him or trade him?" Kirk Cousins is giving the Atlanta Falcons first team defense really good looks at training camp. They're going to keep him right now. He's a second string quarterback. He's not causing any issues there. He's a complete professional. If you heard him talk the other day, um, he understands the assignment, man. He's trying to help this team win. Right now, if something arises, um, on another team somewhere, I'm pretty sure the Atlanta Falcons are willing to listen. But at this point in time, it's no issues with Kirk Cousins on this team. So, um, I think that's a dead issue, and I think the national media probably made it more of a thing than what's going on inside the Flowery Branch. With the Atlanta Falcons inside the organization. Um, Everybody understands what's going on. Yes, they paid Kirk Cousins $180 million, 100 million guaranteed. They still owe him $37 million on 27 this year, and then the option for next year. That 10 million probably might end up being a dead cap because if he's here next year, I think they might end up cutting him. But they only 10 million on the books that they guaranteed to owe him, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But right now, for me, I don't think Kirk Cousins is causing any issues um, with his organization. Matter of fact, I think he's actually being beneficial, helping out the first team defense because for the most part, that's who he lined up across for most of the day. So that's a good thing. All right, guys, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. So the offensive side of the ball, you know, first of all, Raheem Morris is kind of dirty, man, because they went away from the fans today. They was driving down the field, and they had the the team lined up behind the plays, so you could barely see it. You saw everything because it was sitting up high on the hill, but you know you would like them to come towards us instead of going away from us. But it's just a little observation. Maybe they was working on something that they didn't want the fans and the reporters to see some of the stuff they were working on. But for what we seen was they did a lot of team um, plays today, running the ball, um, going down the field, doing drives down. I think they started like at the 20, they went all the way down. Then they went to the red zone periods. Um, and like I said, for the most part, what you're seeing is the first team and second team just going back and forth. Usually they do like about 3 or 4 plays, per team. But today they kind of went a little bit longer. I think they went like 5 or 6 plays for each quarterback, and that's Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins today. Um, um, Michael Penix still looks like he's in rhythm. However, in the red zone, he did go 1 for 3. Another errant throw. Like I said yesterday, I think his touch definitely need to work on his touch a little bit more, especially throwing to some of these guys. Some of these guys is not ready for that arm yet, so that's some of the stuff he got to work because of those short intermediate passes. You got to take just a little bit off. The accuracy is there, but it just a rocket coming out his arm, and those guys not used to that yet. Maybe they get some more chemistry now. Maybe that won't be an issue. So he had an errant throw in the red zone, um, and then the other one was an incomplete pass, but he did throw a touchdown to Cardell Hodge during that period. So like I said, like 1 for 3, they ran the ball one time and got stuffed, but for the most part, you know you're not going to see perfection, which is good. What I really like about what's happening now is you got a young quarterback learning, making mistakes, right? Because you don't want to get too big overhead and realize think you got everything, and then when you get out there against another team, right? You want to make mistakes. You want to have something to work on every day and see so you can see the progression throughout these 5 weeks left we got in training camp. So that's what you like to see. But for the most part, um, he still looks like um, as advertised. He really do. So now they did do a what you call a 2 minute offensive drive going coming back towards us, which was really lovely. And Michael Penix Jr. I think hit Kirk Cousins. I mean not Kirk Cousins, Drake London probably like 4 passes in a row, right? Like it was like clockwork, moving the ball down the field, hit Drake London like 4 passes in a row. Well, interesting, they took Drake out, right? Because it was like, okay, you going to Drake too much, right? And then they came back in, they put Chris Blair in. Chris Blair dropped the ball. You got to be better than that. You can't go around, and making mistakes in that kind of ilk, man. You can't do that, right? However, Michael Penix Jr. drove the ball down the field, but he threw his first interception, and I think it was the first interception of camp, right? So shout out to Natron Brooks, where I've talked about him. That's 2 times since I've been out there. Natron Brooks don't made a play. Right now he's going with the second team. It's like he might be in trench of being on you know some depth for the cornerback position. So you like what you're seeing for him, but and one thing about what I found really interesting about Michael Penix Jr. after the interception, he was you know visibly pissed, really pissed. He threw a helmet down, kicking it. Right, he was upset. He was really upset, and you like that, man. On the 5th day of training camp, you know, seeing your players, right? You don't want him to get into his head and nothing like that, but at the same time, right? He's trying to be a perfectionist out there. Don't want to make mistakes, and he was really pissed off about throwing the interception, and it happens, right? Um, he was going to Drake London again. You know, we got to get Darnell Mooney back because can't keep going to Drake on every play. Of course, Kyle Pitts did not play in that period, so he was not out there. Like I said, Kyle Pitts been playing the first half of um, the practice, and then the second half he'll go out on the side and still, I guess the whole plan they got for him. Um, but we also heard from Kyle Pitts today as well, um, so he understands the assignment, what's got to happen. But um, Michael Penix being upset about that interception was really good, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I liked it. So that's what you want to see from your players, man. Visibly frustrated and upset about mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes because this is an imperfect game, so you're not gonna be perfect. It just does not happen. I don't care who you are. You're gonna make mistakes, but you know, understand what you need to do and to fix it. Drake went out and said that him and Mike talk about every pass. Mike want to make sure he put the placement of the ball where it needs to go and all those good things. So, you know, it's just a matter of time so he can get into a rhythm and start showing the consistency, because that's what we want to see for the longest at the franchise quarterback position for the Atlanta Falcon. That's what we've been lacking since Matty Ice left, right? So we got to see some more consistency. That's what we want to see. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna make turnovers. It happens, right? He threw three interceptions last year. Probably two definitely wasn't his fault because they got tipped up in the air. But that's what happened. So, you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles. But for him to be upset about what happened, that's good. That's good. Like I said, these guys have the sense that they know what's going on this year. The interesting thing is, the whole mantra this year is they want to move in silence, right? They don't want to talk about it. They want to be about it. So that's good. I think that's really good. But they understand the talent on this team. They know how good they can be, but it doesn't matter. Right? It don't matter how good you think you can be. You got to go out and execute. You got to do it, and that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. I mean, you can feel the energy though. Um, from all the players, especially their defense. They even said that it kind of on the corny side because how motivated they are and things like that, which is a good thing, right? Because they trying to get after it, right? You got guys like Nate Ali talking about going into the room, the dark room, right? And then you got Dwayne Lefford talking about speed off the ball, right? The trenches. That's where it all starts, and that's what we want to see it take place. But from offensive defense, I thought they went back and forth today. I think the running game is really looking good. I think the running game for both the second and first team, man. All those running backs are really um, looking good out there. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, only really concern I think about most is their run defense, and we'll see how that you know looks when the season starts. But that's one of the things um, that I know that's something that they need to really be focused on. And they bring in all these defensive backs and things like that. Obviously, they're not worried about their D line, right? Because they haven't tried to bring any defensive linemen. So you gotta like what you see in the thought process with their defensive line. Right? Let's go to the camp standouts, guys. So the camp standout, and and honestly, it's kind of getting old. But once again, the camp standout for me is James Pierce Jr. Because once again, I think he's really shining and showing up where he needs to show. Once again, Natron Brooks. So guys, that stock is rising for them. You get to see that now, and both of those young guys are starting to see their stock rise a little bit. So that's really good. Um, Shout out to the O line. Because like I said, the running game is really looking good. Um, you like to see that second team. James Pierce going back there kind of wrecking shop a little bit. So, you know, and then guys got to stop holding as well. I think James Pierce cost another holding penalty. So some of the things that you want to see from our first round draft picks, we seen it early on. We really seen it early on. Just can't wait to see Jalen Walker get out there. See can he have the same kind of um, effect because both of those guys can really have it. Man, it's going to be a long season for a lot of quarterbacks that the Atlanta Falcons play. So that's what we want to see. That's definitely want to see. But my camp standout once again is James Pierce Jr. and Natron Brooks on the offensive side. I just get to the O line, the ones, the first team O line. I just get to those guys because I like the way they looked. So there you have it, guys. Real nice and sweet to the point for today. Of course, special teams. They went through their special teams, um, and going over punt, the punt coverage and things like that. Um, I know we talked about it on Tuesday. The kicking game is in a battle, so those are some of the things. So when we get to next week, looking at the preseason game, those are some of the things we're gonna be looking at. We're gonna look at. We talked about yesterday is the rotations and defining your roles. We talked about the kicking game, and then some of those receivers that need to start stepping up as well. So those are some of the things to look at, and then the consistency that we probably won't see Penix out there at all. So in preseason, definitely probably not the first game. Maybe the second game we'll see, but it's just hard to know what you get to see. The second game they're going to have joint practices with the Tennessee Titans. If they like what they seen from the joint practices, they probably won't play anybody again. So that's just how the nature been going with Raheem Morris, his philosophy on it, and as fans and guys that's reporting on this team, just need to get used to it and understand what's going on. We just can't have a repeat of what happened last year for game one when it seemed like the Atlanta Falcons was not ready to play when they played against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think about the Atlanta Falcons bringing in all these defensive backs, trying them out. Do you think do they have some concerns in the backfield, or are they just trying to, you know, make this team better bringing in some veteran guys. Um, Also, let me know what you think about offense, defense, going back and forth. The this new look defense, or where the being aggressive attack is just oozing out these guys to where they smiling and things like that. On the offensive side of the ball, you know, developing that run game. Michael Penix, you know, keep trying to get in rhythm with his other pass catchers, and then Kirk Cousins definitely giving the defense really good looks because of his savviness that he provides in the pocket as well. So there you have it. Um, Good day. Like I said, good overcast for the players. It wasn't as hot, and you can't ask for nothing more. So there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.